This video is for people who are trying to make money online and they just haven't been able to do it, or it's for people who are thinking about getting into the online money space, seeing how they want to get inside, and you want to know how you can get inside the door, get inside the room, right? So this isn't necessarily a tactical video. It's more like a mindset one because I just felt called to do that, and this one is kind of crazy, so sorry about that. But this is basically how it is, right? We grow up conditioned, almost like a Truman Show, and our environment is curated, most of us, to climb up a certain mountain, a certain longitude, or certain threshold, right? And we spend our whole lives trying to climb up these particular mountains that may or may not have been made for us, but they have been conditioned inside of our minds, inside of our nervous system, inside of our physiology to perceive as a notable achievement. So that could be the mountain of college, it could be the mountain of being a doctor, it could be the mountain of, I don't know, being a mechanic. It depends where you are, where you're from, right? And some people, they go up the mountain and they like the view. Like, it feels great. Everybody's rewarding them. They feel good inside, and boom, good job, buddy. Life just gave you a pretty easy route. And there's no really turning and zigzagging that you need to do. But for people like me, for people like you who are watching this, you might have gone up a mountain and you're at the top and you're like, fuck, I don't like it up here. I don't like the food up here. I don't like the people up here. I don't like the way, what I have to dress. I don't like the cars I have to drive. I just don't like it. But the interesting thing about when you're up on a certain threshold, you can see another mountain, right? In the horizon. And you got to understand that, okay, first of all, this mountain isn't pretty cool. I kind of want to go over there. I want to go to the other mountain. And you start looking around, you start strategizing, how can I do that, right? And the only way you start to see is that you have to go down that mountain, go into the valley of the shadow of death, and climb up the other one. And that's what most people don't want to do. I mean, and that's what I did. I was working for the government, for the DHS. I didn't like it very much. I was really depressed, honestly. I thought about some crazy shit, suicidal ideation and shit, crazy shit like that, right? I quit, saved up a little bit of money, did Uber, got burnt out, and then eventually I wanted to start making money online because I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. So I invested almost all of my money, more than the money that I had, credit, shout out to America, and I put it into this shit. And boy, oh boy, I was very broke, more than broke. I had to live with my parents, slept on the couch. I'm still kind of sleeping on the couch now, but I'm finally starting to figure this shit out. But the hardest part is going through that valley. That's the hardest part. Going through the trenches, going through the place where the sun does not shine, the road less traveled. Doubting yourself, wondering, praying, is this shit really gonna work? And you don't know. But you see people at the other side of the mountain and you see that it's real, but it's not necessarily real for you yet. And my advice, if you're there or you're at the other mountain, first of all, if you're at the top of a mountain you don't like, do you save yourself some time and just go down? I'm sorry. You know, quit the job, leave that family. God damn, my phone died. And I switched my outfit, changed the scenery. But anyways, if you're at that other mountain, man, save yourself the time, just go down. Let's get into the sun, just go down. Go quit that job. If you have a little bit of money saved up, just quit. You know, if you have a car, sell it. If you're in a relationship that you don't like because of the job that you got tied to, like, dump her or dump him, you know? Because first of all, human beings have been adapting to an ever-changing set of circumstances for millennia. All right, so you can do it, first of all. And second of all, why waste your time doing something you don't really want to do? Life is short. But obviously it's that fear, right? The fear of going into the shadow. And it's not necessarily, the valley isn't dark because there's no sun. I mean, although literally speaking, it could be like that. But the shadow you're going to be experiencing is not the shadow of the mountain, it's the shadow of yourself. It's the shadow that has yet to be nurtured by society, institutions, friends, family, and even yourself, because it just wasn't allowed. You might have latent talents and abilities that are just dormant, but they have yet to be activated because your circumstances have not met the conditions for that personality to arise, if that makes sense. So sometimes if you're too comfortable, you'll never meet those conditions and that person will never come out. I was stuck at my job, stuck in my social group. I was stuck. So I literally had to force myself out. You might not need to do that, but you have to trust that you are more complex than what meets the eye. You're not a one-dimensional thing. You are a human being, right? You have layers. So you have to trust when you go into the shadow, a new personality that's stronger, faster, wiser will arise out of itself, because that's naturally what happens. And you might hang out there for a month. Some people might take a week. Some people might take years. It all depends on how willing you are to dive into the abyss of your own mind. And you will try to get in your own way by asking other people obvious questions that you know the answer to. Spending monies in places that you don't need to spend them. Watching things you don't need to watch, right? Because you're trying to avoid the information. You're trying to avoid the journey. And the only way you can get on the other side of that mountain is if you go through it. You can't take a plane. You can't take an elevator. You can't even take the damn steps. You're on the ground. And there's a beauty to that. Because when you're on the ground, the only way through is up, rather. And a lot of people, they just turn back to what they know. They turn back to the job, they turn back to the relationship. I've done it as well, not perfect. But there's something magical that happens when you just don't turn around. You just refuse to look back. There's a transformation internally, there's a revolution. Literally speaking, right? A revolution just means to turn. There's an internal revolution that happens when you start to earn your first dollar online, because it's like, holy shit, I fucking did it. And you'll develop that association between you doing shit online and making money, and then you'll develop that neural pathway, and then it'll just kind of take care of itself. But before you develop that, you kind of have to force yourself to look in that direction. And that's basically it. I mean, once you get to the base of the mountain, you just got to keep looking up. Obviously, there's networking involved and skill acquisition and all that kind of stuff. But the hardest part is going through that valley. And I hope this made sense. I want to start posting these kind of random streams of consciousness because I think it's cool. It's just my style. So if you got any value from this, if there's any holes in my logic, please let me know. Yeah. Let's make some money this year, all right? Peace.